Hello friends, welcome to the Greta Talks. This episode of Krishnayan stresses the triumph of faith and resilience in the face of oppression. Despite being imprisoned and isolated, Vasudev and Devaki found solace in their unwavering devotion to God, believing in divine intervention. It highlights the contrast between righteousness and evil, as figures like Akrur and Devak stood for mercy while Keshi and Kut fueled cruelty. Kansa's blind ambition and wickedness ultimately sealed his fate, emphasizing that tyranny and injustice cannot prevail forever. The story teaches that patience, faith, and righteousness will ultimately overcome cruelty and darkness, bringing justice and hope to the oppressed. Vasudev and Devaki went to the palace near the river Yamuna, which flows through the border of Mathura city. That palace belonged to Vasudev. As per Kansa's orders, only Vasudev, his first wife Rohini, and second wife Devaki were allowed to live there. A maid was allowed to come to the palace to do housework. The armed soldiers were stationed by Kansa to guard the fort day and night. They did not allow anyone to live or enter the fort. In this way, Vasudev had to live as a prisoner with his wives Rohini and Devaki in his own palace. A few days later, Akrur, who was the chief of the Vrishni tribe and the husband of one of Kansa's own sisters, requested Kansa to visit Vasudev in the palace. Akrur assured him that he posed no danger, so Kansa allowed him to visit Vasudev in that palace. It was because of this Akrura's efforts that after a few days Gargacharya, who was the patriarch of the Yadavas, was also allowed to occasionally visit him to perform the religious rituals of Vasudeva. Except for these men, no one was allowed by Kansa to enter that palace. Vasudev and his wives suffered imprisonment, isolated from family and the outside world. Yet they found solace in chanting the name and worshipping God. They strengthened their hope to have a divine incarnation to take birth as their son. This helped them to keep up their faith through hardship. A few days later, Putana, wife of Kansa's chief guard Pradyot, visited Vasudev's palace. Though soft spoken, she had an evil heart. Kansa realized that Devaki's time of matured pregnancy was nearing, so he assigned Putana with the task of informing him immediately about the childbirth. As Devaki's delivery neared, Vasudev, Devaki, Rohini, and the Yadavas grew anxious. When Devaki gave birth to a son, Vasudev heard the baby's cry. Rohini informed him, but he felt torn between joy and sorrow, knowing Kansa's threat. He followed Rohini with his eyes filled with tears and saw the charming baby. As Devaki regained consciousness, she noticed Vasudev's tears and began weeping herself. Seeing Devaki in tears, Vasudev said in a trembling voice, "Our fate is cruel. If Akrur persuades Kansa to spare this baby, it is fine, but if not, we must be strong to face the cruel reality." Devaki feared about her child's fate. She trembled and shed tears as she held him. Just then Putana arrived and cunningly asked Rohini if it was a boy. On hearing yes, she mockingly exclaimed how pleased Kansa would be and left with a deadly smile to inform him. When Kansa heard from Putana about Devaki's son, he grew serious and sought advice. Akrur urged him to spare Devaki's children as only her eighth son was a threat for Kansa. Devak, who was father of Devaki, supported Akrur and begged for mercy. However, Keshi, who was Kansa's brother, disagreed and insisted that Kansa should kill all the children of Devaki. Kansa's cunning minister named Kut agreed to Keshi's opinion and believed that showing mercy to Devaki's children would lead to destruction. Kansa was convinced by the wicked opinions of Keshi and Kut, and he decided to act on their advice. He marched to Vasudev's palace with his guards to kill Devaki's firstborn baby. This is all about this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, in which how Kansa initially spares the life of the baby but is instigated by Narad Muni to kill the baby, which was a part of the divine strategy to enable the doom of the cunning Kansa. So thank you and goodbye.